Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I'm Jonathan Mills Patrick, and welcome to an episode of The Ladder or the Grind. I have today with me my great friend and one of the most intelligent recruiters I've ever known, Janice Shisler, with me. Hi, Janice.
Hi, how are you, JP?
Good.
Thank you for the introduction. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's been a thrill to get to know you over time. We had a few technical issues we had to work through together on the front end of this, so let's hope it all goes well. Well, why don't we get right into it? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? You and I met sort of in the recruiting world and the financial industry world, but now you've got something exciting to share that you've sort of gone out and done.
I have. My background is in financial services recruiting for executives at the executive level. And my previous to that, and that's been in financial institutions, specifically, credit unions, banking, community banking. And also, prior to that, I was a healthcare executive for long-term acute care hospitals.
Okay. Interesting. So I'm curious about the jump from that role into more of the recruiting role.
Right. And I'm not a native Texan, so I moved here from New Mexico, and I thought recruiting would be such a wonderful aspect of the HR piece. I got into the recruiting area and I've loved it. I've met some great people over the years. I've really created as someone called me, a staple. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but I thought it was really good. Staple in the industry. And I just have a passion and a drive for helping people. People are what make companies successful.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal is to help people. And by doing so, working for companies who have that same vision and philosophy that I do. And that's why I created my own company after 17 years.
Right.
I decided to go on my own. I felt I had a vision. I created a brand from scratch, but I had a vision of what is important in our industry, especially recruiters. And I think as we look through and read through, some best books and articles that are shared within, our common professional career, I felt compelled that there was a different reason, a different aspect to recruiting than not just a process, not just managing people and having them respond to advertisements. I want them to feel good about the organization that they're going to go to, but I also want the company to feel engaged and have them feel a part of the organization, whether it's the location, whether it's the company, whether it's the family orientation. I mean, that is what makes J-Spire unique, I think, from all the other firms.
I tend to agree. Can you walk us through the thought process of having been a recruiter at a well-recognized organization within at least the financial industry, recruiting industry, and then was it a slow burn decision to move and open J-Spire, or did it sort of happen quickly? Can you walk us through that thought process?
I wouldn't say it happened quickly. At a point in anyone's career, I think, sometimes people tend to become stagnant in their positions, and I wanted to create a life for others, and I wanted to be able to create my vision. When you're within a corporation, the vision can be established and is established, but when you come out on your own, it's just exciting to see how it just flourishes. And a big part of what I wanted to do was really take the tagline of people blossom and companies flourish, and that was something that I really wanted to do, and I wholeheartedly believe in that.
Was there a piece of that sort of the tagline for J-Spire that was missing, not necessarily with the previous company, but just the industry in general that you felt like you needed to solve?
I think so. I think, rather than looking at people and process, focus on what the company's looking for and what is important to the candidates coming into a new organization.
Mm-hmm.
Transition, onboarding, really look at the whole aspect of recruiting, not just finding the candidate and placing them, but how does that happen from the onset to them starting in their new role?
And then maybe staying on for a while and
Staying
being
on,
happy.
a lot of these, if it's not the right fit, if it's not the right organization, JP, sometimes it just doesn't work out for whatever reasons. So you have to make sure that you have that good comfort level in making that placement and making sure that they're going to be there for a while.
Is there a secret sauce that you can maybe talk about a little bit that you think goes into that process to get to that
Se-
point?
Secret sauce is mine is always be engaged. You always want to be engaged with your candidates and with the companies that you represent. If there's not that engagement, then there's not that trust factor, there's not that relationship building. And if it doesn't work out, your candidate's going to call you or the company's going to call you that you represent and say, Janice didn't work out for whatever reason, but at the end of the day, we're very happy. We want another Janice. So, you want to maintain that relationship. I want to say that that is probably one of the most gratifying outcomes is when you deliver what you say you're going to deliver.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is there a portion of it that comes down to maybe on the front end being utterly transparent about what the company wants, what the candidate wants? Because I know, again, you and I have a history of having gone through a process together before, and it was very, very pleasurable on my end. But I remember having very open and honest, candid conversations on the front end about what my expectations were, what you understood from the company, all those different things.
Absolutely. I mean, you're not just a piece of paper or resume to me. And that's what I think is unique and different about what I am doing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to focus on what's important to you as a family, what's important to you from a location standpoint. And also, there's that monetary value as well.
Of course.
We always have to put that in there. But at the end of the day, openness, honest communication, full disclosure is what's going to make it a win-win at the end.
Yeah, absolute, complete, and almost utter transparency, just to
Absolutely.
allow both. So there's three parties in the process, or more really. You've got the company, and then you as sort of the in between, and then the candidate, and then you have to have the ability to sort of put things out there and be willing to say, no, this matters that much to me. And I, as a candidate, I don't know that I did this in my earlier career in banking, but I know that the further along I got in my career, I was willing to say, this one thing is that important to me, and it literally could be a deal killer one way or the other. And I find that folks like yourself that understand how this works best, that the company that you can are able to communicate the company's expectations along that line too, to say no, this is that important to the company, and if it's not something that works for you, that's okay. You're just not the right fit, right? Because doesn't this come back to sort of the cost to everyone in terms of placing a wrong candidate, anyways?
Absolutely. I mean, there is a monetary cost associated with replacing a candidate. And also, I think from a strategic standpoint, if an organization or a company is looking for that piece of the puzzle to be part of their strategic plan or their growth process, or how they fit into the organization as a whole, and it just sets them back. And at the end of the day, if the company or the client that engages you as an executive recruiter wants to have that complete engagement and wants to be involved, by all means, I encourage that. The last, searches that I've done have all been very inclusive relationship, not only with the candidate, but also with the company and the client that has hired you. I think that's so important because they get buy-in. Not only does the candidate get buy-in, but you're also able to have the company provide you with the resources and selling tools in order to make it an effective win-win.
Is there any questions in the process that you feel like you ask early on that sort of tell you whether a person is a fit or not? I mean, is it about so I hear a lot of talk in the industry, just in general, not necessarily
Yeah.
recruiting, but just business world, and it's a saying I've used myself, is that I don't hire a resume, I hire everything else, all the intangibles. So I'm just curious your thoughts. Is that a true statement? And if not, or if it is, Is there questions you can ask early on to understand that?
Oh, I think it definitely makes it is all the intangibles. I mean, you don't spend 5 minutes looking at a resume and 5 minutes, talking to an individual. What you want to do is make sure that up front that parameters are set. Is this where you want to be in your life cycle, in your career? One of the things that, does very well is not only do you go through the background and the history and the resume, you get to know people in that process, understand what their likes and dislikes are, or even at a point in their career where, is this going to be the last move for them? Is this where they want to spend the rest of their career? So there are questions that you can surround yourself with. Where do we go from, being fully transparent, full disclosure, from the onset all the way to the end of the process or the end of the interview.
Right, right. So you can get to sort of an answer early about where that fit is.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a lot of times, you talk to a candidate, and this has happened to me many, many times where, you present an opportunity 5 years ago, 5 years later, you present another opportunity. And, that goes with saying that, the opportunity initially presented, they're not interested in, but maybe another one 5 to 6, 7, 8 years later, they are interested in.
So the fit just wasn't there.
The fit wasn't there, the location wasn't there, or, a lot of it is family too. They may have children in high school or mid school. They don't want to move the kids out of their current situation, and it's just not timing. I think timing has a lot to do with making a move. There's a lot of opportunities locally, regionally, that executives really gear a lot towards too as well.
If you don't mind, let's switch gears, talk a little bit more about sort of your decision to start your own firm.
Sure.
Because we talked to a lot of people who have either currently have their own firm or have made that decision. And I know I've asked you this before, but I'd like you to tell the story now. Almost every entrepreneur I ever talked to remembers that distinct moment, even though they may have been thinking about it over time. But there was always this one moment when they said, "That's it. Here I go. I'm going to go do it." Could you give us a breakdown of that?
I can. A lot of it was soul searching, and I think, being in the business for as long as I have, and having the connections, and I won't say connections, I look at them as partnerships that I've created over the years. There was just something inside of me that said, this is a great opportunity for you to take on your own business, to create what you have done over the last 20 plus years. And when I did that, I had a piece of paper and I created my name. I did not want it to be my name. I wanted to create something that was unique and different from still being who I am, true to who I am, but yet not representative of Janice Shisler.
Right.
So I wanted to create an inspirational tagline that created what I want to represent and the brand and the heart of my company. What I wanted to do was not tell people what I can do for them, but show them what I want to do for them.
Right. So you wanted it to kind of speak for itself.
Speak for itself. I mean, we can talk about, I have 50 years experience or 25 years experience. What it comes down to is people who want to work with you, trust you. And I truly believe that J-Spire recruiting inspired me to be, to take a leap of faith and have that courage to start my own business. And I have no regrets, and I absolutely love it.
What's been the toughest part about going out on your own?
There really hasn't been the toughest part. I think just really establishing the framework and the groundwork of how your organizational design is going to be and who's going to be part of that design. So I am very fortunate, and I always say, blessings of gratitude every time I talk to somebody that I know, but my goal is to surround myself with people who buy into the vision, buy into the brand, buy into the company, and who want to be successful. I want to hire people and surround my people with success. And by doing so, it starts with me. And if I truly believe that, JP, there's no looking back.
There's no looking back. Well, so it hasn't been too difficult, which is great. What's been the best part? I mean, what's been the sort of the maybe the side benefits you maybe didn't think through or you did think through of going out on your own?
The side benefits, I mean, you certainly, it is scary to go on your own. I mean, you're taking a leap of faith, and you're taking a leap of faith that people still want to believe in you and trust you. I think probably that would be the scariest piece. Once my business launched May 10th of this year,
Mm-hmm.
I was unsure. I didn't know how.
Was that because you didn't have the backing of a quote unquote big name, or what was that? I mean, you had a lot of experience, so where did that doubt come from?
The doubt perhaps could be the big name. Could be I wouldn't say it was the name. I think it was, I did take about six months off as I transitioned out.
Mm-hmm.
So am I going to be forgettable?
Oh, I see.
That was my biggest, probably, I don't want to say fear, but I think it was, am I going to be forgettable when I re-enter the market?
Right. You're concerned, and are the people that I've worked with in the past going to still sort of remember and or be ready to work with me and those type things?
Absolutely. That would be the one thing that I would say was, will I be forgettable?
Yeah, so I think what we see there with a lot of entrepreneurs is this idea of the fears start to creep in, and it's you sort of start to have doubt and turn whatever that concern is, let's just call it a concern, not a fear, into this idea of, oh Lord, it's gonna, on a scale of 1 to 10, the outcome's gonna be a 10. It's gonna be awful. I mean, it's just everyone's gonna die kind of mentality. And so being the type of people we are, we turn it into an absolute worst case scenario. Whereas in reality, at the very worst, what it might have been is a 3 or 4. And if it didn't work, or if people said, nope, you know what, you're out on your own, we're not going to work with you at all, it's not like you couldn't have gone back another direction. So I think that's usually pretty common for folks to overcome is this whole idea of, oh, it's going to, everything, the big bomb blowing up per se.
No, I agree. And people will work with you if they truly value what you bring to the table. And I think that has proven, and I know it's proven in my business moving forward with J Spire and, the accolades. And whether I work with them or not, it's just encouraging and inspiring to know that there are raving fans of mine out there.
Right.
Whether we work on a consulting engagement, and it's just not recruiting, I do other things as well. So I think a big part of that, you don't want to be everything to everyone,
Mm-hmm.
but J Spire certainly has a niche and in what we do, and people are inspired by that. And I'm very grateful that we have created that niche in what I can provide to executives and companies that are at this level.
Yeah, so what I hear obviously is just the passion to do it, and if I may say, sort of do it quote unquote your way, or the way you feel is better for the candidates and the company together. We often hear a lot of the idea of sticking to your why, right? The whole Simon Sinek approach, and understanding that has that passion sort of kept you. What has it done to sort of help you along this path of entrepreneurship? This idea, this passion that's driving you. Is that something you regularly come back to that sort of pushes you every day?
It does push me every day because I know that I'm making an impact somewhere and for someone.
Mm-hmm.
That truly I can make a difference. And if, I look at it as taking it one project or engagement at a time. I don't look at it as, there's 50 out there, I can get this. I mean, I'm not looking to really be that dominant force. What I'm looking for is to keep myself very grounded and very sincere and truthful to the people that I work with and work for.
Very cool. Very cool. So just where can people find you in terms of website and those things?
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. We have a website. It's www.jspire.com. We also have a LinkedIn page. We're also Facebook. We'll be adding more of our social media outlets within the next 30 days. We're also going to encourage and include a blogging site on our website. So a lot of good things. I want to make it more educational, JP, rather than, having a page of careers on our website, because then they'll lose vision, they'll lose sight of what we're doing for them, and they'll go straight to the careers page.
Mm-hmm.
So I want them to get a good understanding. If you're a candidate or a company and you want to work with J Spire, understand what we're about first, and then we'll work on the positions. The positions are advertised on social media outlets, and a big part of recruiting has turned into the social media side as well.
Sure.
So our website is going to focus more on education, understanding who we are and what we bring to you as an executive and to you as a company.
And it's jspire.com, is that right?
That is correct.
And just within the financial industry or other types of positions?
For now.
For now.
Now.
So already thinking about branching out.
We are, definitely. That's on our plan.
Any next step industry you want to share? I mean, what is next for the company?
Yes, we've talked about it, and our business plan potentially will be entering into the healthcare market, recruiting.
And is that because of your background in healthcare?
It is, but I also have my husband who is an entrepreneur himself and has, I want to say, 4 or 5 businesses in the healthcare world. And so we're looking to integrate some healthcare recruiting with in support of their businesses as well.
If I could, I know I asked you this before, but just for the live segment of this, I knew that your husband had multiple companies and those type things. Did any part of his entrepreneurship journey sort of steer you as you decided to make this change?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's the guiding force. He's the one that has steered me throughout this whole process, and couldn't have done it without him.
Very good. Well, we wish you much success, and thanks so much for coming on, taking some time to share sort of your philosophy. And what I love about it, Janice, is recruiting is much like banking in that it seems to be sort of an old traditional business. It's done one way, and no one's really, at least in my experience, gone out and focused on some of the things that we talked about, just making the process different and really trying to. Companies love to talk about it being a win-win and those type things, but I'm not sure it always is. Sometimes it's just to get the candidate in, and they go from there. So I think big things to come for J Spire.
Thank you, JP. I'm honored. I appreciate it.
Well, great. Thanks again for taking some time with us today.
All right. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.